This evening, first, while robbery turns deadly, a security guard opens fire at a Georgetown supermarket, killing two masked bandits, including a 15-year-old, in a chaotic attempted robbery. What investigators found at the scene, and the manhunt is now underway for their accomplices. Plus, Linden is mourning, nation on alert. President Ali visited grieving families and called for calm as the community reels from two police-involved deaths within 24 hours. With tensions rising, could an independent probe bring answers and peace? Also, another woman silenced by violence. A ministry employee is gunned down by her ex, a convicted drug trafficker, in an alleged murder-suicide attempt. This follows another recent killing, and together they paint a devastating picture of rising domestic violence. Meanwhile, sex offender registry coming to Guyana. For the first time ever, a national database will soon track convicted sexual offenders. How it will work, who it will protect, and why advocates say it's a long overdue step to safeguard vulnerable citizens. And tariff chaos eases for some. President Donald Trump pauses new tariffs for 75 countries, but slams China with a crushing 125% rate after Beijing retaliates. Markets soar, but where does Guyana stand in the global trade storm? Stay tuned, these stories and more tonight on Headline News Update. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for April 9th, 2025. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, a supermarket robbery turned deadly on Monday night when a security guard fatally shot two armed bandits during a foil heist at Jai Jai supermarket on Hatfield Street. The deceased have been identified as 15-year-old Tyrese Adams of Pineapple Street, East Rhymefeld, and 22-year-old Erwin Garway of East Rhymefeld. Garway suffered gunshot wounds to his ribs, hand, nose, and right shoulder, while Adams sustained wounds to his shoulder, stomach, lower back, and left hip. Police said the two were part of a four-man group that attempted to rob the Chinese-owned business around 7:30 p.m. According to investigators, the suspects entered the supermarket masked and armed, targeting both cashier booths. A 35-year-old on-duty security guard, armed with a 9mm pistol, confronted the suspects and opened fire as they tried to flee. One suspect collapsed inside the store, while the other fell on the roadway outside. The other two accomplices escaped on foot. Two motorcycles, one unlicensed, were left behind at the scene. Police recovered a Glock 17 pistol with 8 rounds, several spent shells, and bullet fragments from the scene. CCTV footage was reviewed and investigations are ongoing. The bodies of the deceased were taken to the Memorial Gardens Funeral Home for post-mortem examinations, and authorities are continuing their search for the remaining suspects. On a different note, President Dr. Mohamed Irfaan Ali has urged residents of Linden to remain peaceful and avoid destruction during protests, calling instead for meaningful dialogue to bring about justice and healing. His appeal came as he met with grieving families in Linden following the deaths of 21-year-old Ronaldo Peters and 32-year-old Keon Fudgini, who died in separate incidents involving the police within 24 hours.
I met with the families today, and I assured them that this will be an independent investigation led by the RSS in the shortest possible time. The terms of reference will be developed. They have specific questions, so they will share with us. And the investigation would be independent, and that the recommendations and findings of those investigations will be respected.
The families of the deceased men also appealed to Linden residents to remain calm, echoing the president's call for unity and peaceful resolution.
The residents of Region 10, every individual will be part of the incident that took place with one of my family. This is his mother. So we have asked the residents within the Wismore and Mackenzie shore, we have asked him just to please just be calm. We already get the president and the word to comfort from the president and be comfortable.
So the community would have requested the president's presence so that we could discuss this issue
so that we as a community will feel satisfied that justice is actually being served and everything is being done possible, so that everything that's surrounding this situation will be looked into. So we were assured that this is what the President is here to do today. He assured us that there will be no bias within the investigation. Everything will be done independently, and everything that we want to satisfy that, hey, we understand that it was wrong and we need justice. So he's here today to show us the community support that we need. So we're asking you guys, we could calm down now, we get what we want, as we would say. So we know that there's action being taken. This is what we want. Swift action being taken, and this is what we're having right here now.
The president met with the relatives of Peters, who a police officer fatally shot on Monday, and Fortuné, who was killed during protest action in the township on Tuesday. Peters was wanted for questioning in connection with the alleged rape of a girl under 16 years and was on the run from police when he got shot. The emotional meeting took place at Watuka House in Region 10. President Ali offered condolences and reaffirmed the government's commitment to transparency and justice. He revealed that the Office of the Professional Responsibility has launched a full-scale probe into both incidents, which will be supported by the Regional Security System, a multi-state Caribbean security body. The president also urged residents to remain peaceful and avoid destruction during protests, calling instead for meaningful dialogue to bring about justice and healing. Amid call for justice in Linden, another tragedy unfolds as the disrespect for women, domestic violence, sexual assault, and the senseless killing of women continue to cast a dark shadow over our society. Another tragic domestic incident unfolded on Tuesday evening at Parfait Harmony, West Bank, Demerara, when 30-year-old Marissa Beat, an employee of the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, was shot and killed by her ex-boyfriend, convicted drug trafficker Gailey Khan, during what police believe was a murder-suicide attempt. 47-year-old Khan reportedly showed up at Beat's home around 6:15 p.m. pretending to want to talk. Despite strong objections from her mother, Beat allowed him inside. Moments later, gunshots rang out, prompting her mother to rush to the living room, where she found Marissa slumped on the chair with gunshot wounds to her head. Khan then turned the weapon on himself but survived. Both persons were rushed to the West Demerara Hospital, where Beat was pronounced dead. Khan remains in serious condition at the Georgetown Public Hospital following surgery for this self-inflicted gunshot wound. Police recovered a firearm, 3 live rounds, 4 spent shells, and 1 bullet fragment from the scene. Investigators are treating the case as an alleged murder-suicide attempt. Khan, who operates Integrated Security Service and is a licensed firearm holder, has a criminal history dating back to 2008 when he was charged with drug trafficking in the United States. After fleeing the U.S. while on bail, he later returned and was resentenced in 2023 before coming back to Guyana, where he began a 2-year relationship with Beat. Police continue to investigate the incident while Beat's body awaits a post-mortem examination at the Ezekiel Funeral Home. Just recently, 28-year-old Kenisha Vaughn, a mother of 1, was fatally shot by her partner in their home. These tragic incidents serve as a heartbreaking reminder that too many women are still unsafe, even in their own homes. This is not just a crime against one woman, it's a loud, urgent call for justice, protection, and meaningful change. Now there is a greater call to stand united to end this epidemic of violence and ensure that every woman's life is valued, respected, and fiercely protected. If you or anyone you know is a victim of domestic violence, then you should call the Ministry of Human Services and Social Security 914 hotline now. Stick around when we return. Ghana to introduce National Sex Offender Database, and Essequibo gold miner arrested in Soko operation. Large quantities of cash and gold seized.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Carpet Smart make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services. 316 Mill Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Welcome back. In a targeted effort to combat gold smuggling and related illicit activities, the Special Organized Crime Unit, SOCU, conducted a joint intelligence-led operation at the premises of Essequibo businessman Mahendra Nath Ganesh, located at New Road, Essequibo Coast, on Tuesday, April 8. The operation led to the seizure of a significant amount of cash and gold. Ganesh, who has been under surveillance by both the local and international authorities, is suspected of having extensive ties to illegal gold trading network. During the operation, SOCU arrested the businessman, who is currently in custody and cooperating with ongoing investigations into gold smuggling and money laundering. This operation is part of a broader national strategy to dismantle criminal networks involved in gold smuggling and organized crime in Guyana. SOCU has reaffirmed its commitment to investigating and prosecuting individuals engaged in these illegal activities while safeguarding the integrity of Ghana's natural resources sector. The investigation is ongoing, and authorities are determined to hold offenders accountable under the law. In other news, a successful joint surface patrol and eradication exercise was conducted along the Kanji River, resulting in the seizure of a firearm and ammunition and the destruction of a large cannabis plot on Tuesday, April 8. The operation began at Kanji River, where a camp was searched, but no illegal items were found. However, a further search approximately 200 yards east of the camp led to the discovery of a 12-gauge shotgun, 2 live cartridges, and a spent shell. At Petty Kanji River, the team uncovered a cultivated cannabis plot containing about 20,000 suspected cannabis plants ranging from 3 to 5 feet in height. A camp was also found at the site. A search of the camp led to the discovery of 4 additional live 12-gauge cartridges. The cannabis plants, estimated to weigh 176 kilograms with a street value of over 26 million Ghana dollars, were destroyed by fire along with the camp. One suspect has been taken into custody and is assisting with the ongoing investigation. The firearms, cartridges, and spent shells were secured and lodged at the station for further examination. Investigations are ongoing. On a different note, for the first time in its history, Ghana is set to implement a national sex offender database, a key component of the proposed amendments to the Sexual Offences Act. Attorney at law Kim Kai Thomas made the announcement during her presentation at the Asking for It exhibition symposium at the Humaniano, where the amendments were discussed. The primary aim of the database is to enhance the safety of children and vulnerable adults by keeping track of sexual offenders in close proximity. The new database will apply to all individuals convicted of sex offenses, both within Guyana and abroad, except for children and those with mental disabilities. Minister of Human Services and Social Security, Dr. Vinay Prasad, expressed her support for the proposal, calling it a progressive piece of legislation that would enhance existing laws.
That register will be kept under the custody of the Commissioner of Police. If people would like information, they would have to write to him. Within that piece of legislation, there are also measures for persons who are sex offenders that they have to comply with. So I think it will be a very progressive piece of legislation when it comes out of this consultation phase and the final draft is completed.
However, the minister could not provide a specific timeline for the implementation of the new act, though consultations have already taken place. The database will be accessible to the public upon submitting a written application to the Commissioner of Police. This will allow individuals to check if someone in their community is listed as a sex offender, especially if they have children or vulnerable persons at home. Additionally, the amendment will enforce a court order requiring offenders to register and report to the police. The initiative is part of the broader Sexual Offences Amendment Bill 2024, which aims to modernize the country's response to sexual offenses. The introduction of the sex offender database is seen as a significant step in addressing sexual violence and ensuring greater protection for vulnerable members of society. Don't go away after the break. Death tolls increases in Dominican Republic nightclub roof collapse tragedy, and has the dire wolf come back to life?
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
See clearly with the gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Current smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 316 Middle Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Good girl, forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world. President Donald Trump has announced a 90-day pause on new tariffs for 75 countries that did not retaliate after his trade measures took effect. The move, revealed via X, follows global backlash and plunging markets. However, tariffs on China have been hiked to 125% due to its retaliation. Stocks surge on the news, with major indexes posting significant gains. Trump said the U.S. is open to talks, except with China for now. Meanwhile, in the Caribbean, emergency services in the Dominican Republic are racing against time to find survivors after a deadly building collapse at a popular nightclub in Santo Domingo. The roof caved in during peak hours, leaving at least 58 people dead and more than 150 others injured. Rescue workers continue to pull people from the debris, with fears that more victims remain trapped. Al Jazeera's Joel Evans reports.
A night of music and dancing in a Caribbean capital quickly transformed into a tragedy. The popular entertainment venue reduced to ruins, killing many and leaving others trapped under the rubble. Emergency services rushed to the scene and the search for survivors began. Dozens of ambulances ferried the injured to hospital. The scale of the collapse became clear as the sun rose, and relatives clamoured for news of their missing loved ones as authorities issued a call for Dominicans to donate blood.
Our government continues working in the search and rescue of people who are still trapped under the rubble. We have reached people who are alive.
Among those announced dead was the governor of Monte Cristi municipality, Nestle Cruz, who succumbed to her injuries in hospital. Arriving at the scene, President Luis Ananada hugged those waiting for news.
Since last night, we've been following minute by minute this tragedy so that all the resources and government emergency institutions can be available. But we still have a way to go. We have faith in God that we will rescue even more people.
The cause of the incident is not yet known. The owners of the nightclub say they're cooperating with authorities. Flags across the Caribbean nation will be flown at half-mast as authorities continue their search for survivors. Joel Evans, Al Jazeera.
Internationally, US-imposed tariffs have sent shockwaves through global markets, leaving governments and businesses unsure of their next steps. In the UK, already grappling with a sluggish economy, companies face growing uncertainty. Al Jazeera's Jonah Hall reports.
Donald Trump's tariff tsunami will hit businesses large and small with devastating effect. Among them the BMW-owned Mini plant in Cowley, Oxford.
And here's your car ready for the road.
They've been turning out the iconic Mini here for decades, providing jobs for generations of car workers in the local area. Trump's 25% tariff on car imports to the US could threaten all of that, adding to economic ill winds that have blown through this community for some time.
If you were to travel 6 miles to North Oxford, you would see a difference in life expectancy of up to 15 years. So that kind of gives you the context of the community that the hub is serving.
Far from the dreaming spires of Oxford, this is a community enjoying the spring sunshine but blighted by inequality and economic crisis.
We will fight tooth and nail for our communities. People are already in a cost of living crisis, resorting to food banks and trying to live their day-to-day life.
A defiant local councillor fears for the future.
We need to be clear to the US and we need to tell them that our people are not collateral damage in their trade war.
An estimated 1 in 8 UK-built cars is exported to the United States, and industry experts suggest thousands of British jobs could be at risk. An additional problem here is that this was to have become the home of the electric-powered Mini, a plan now on pause because of lower than hoped for EV sales.
And that's a problem for people like Diane, whose brother-in-law works at the plant, whose son is planning to, and whose own job it is to look after the children of plant workers.
Oh, it's sad.
But now you
sad.
Feel maybe that all of that is
I
in doubt.
I don't like the unknown. For me, for my brother-in-law, for my son, and for everybody else I know works there.
The hidden costs of tariffs, making America wealthy again, the US president hopes, making a great many much poorer in the process. Jonah Hull, Al Jazeera, Oxford.
Finally, the dire wolf, a species that went extinct some 12,500 years ago, but was made famous by the Game of Thrones series, has been brought back to life. This is according to Texas-based biotech firm Colossal Biosciences. The company has described the dire wolf as the world's first successfully de-extinct animal. Al Jazeera's Imran Ullah Khan reports.
Meet Romulus and Remus. Born in October, these wolves have the science world excited and suspicious at the same time. An American biotechnology company says after 10,000 years of being extinct, the dire wolf will walk the earth again. But some scientists are skeptical.
Yes, they have slightly genetically modified wolves, maybe. And that's probably the best that you're going to get. And those slight modifications seem to have been derived from retrieved direwolf material. Does that make it a direwolf? No. Does it make a slightly modified grey wolf? Yes. And that's probably about it.
The team at Colossal Biosciences combined DNA extracted from fossilized remains of a dire wolf and combined it with that of a close relative, the grey wolf. They say the results could have far-reaching benefits for biodiversity conservation. Some critics point to the lack of a peer-reviewed paper outlining Colossal's methods and findings, making it difficult to verify the claims. Others point out fossilized DNA degrades over time, and what scientists extract are only snippets of DNA.
We don't have the technology to modify entire genomes. We can modify components of genomes, and we can certainly sequence genomes, but the fact that fossil evidence, unless it's only recently extinct and very essentially not been degraded for very long, this is why sort of the Jurassic Park concept is even more fantastical, because we're talking about tens of millions of years between deposition of the individual and finding the fossil.
Direwolves have enjoyed fame in recent years. They feature prominently in the Game of Thrones franchise. Colossal Biosciences has lofty ambitions. It wants to bring back other species like the woolly mammoth and the dodo. But scientists say, while this is a technological breakthrough, extinction is an absolute, and no matter how hard we try, some things will never come back. Imran Allah Khan, Al Jazeera.
This brings us to the end of the regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 3-day weather forecast. And that's Safety 2 headline news for this Wednesday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can tune in tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. for a rebroadcast and at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourself and each other.